And with that out of the way, I would like to now introduce our speaker for our fireside chat, Ian Arden. So Ian wrote the code for one of the first crypto exchanges back in 2010, and he's been incubating blockchain companies ever since. He is a startup coach, an advisor, an investor, a serial entrepreneur, and he's advised on tokenization strategies across many industries. In 2017, he started Applicature. We heard earlier from Nathan, who is one of the managing partners at Applicature also. They are an award-winning blockchain innovation accelerator and development agency, and they've worked with 100 companies all over the world. He is the founder of Milestone Base, which is a DAO for investor startup collaboration. He is the CTO of blockchain audit company Zokio. He's a former CTO of DeFi insurer Bridge Mutual. And I'm only scratching the surface. So Ian, I would like to invite you to give us some more color on the things that you've done. I'm sure I probably missed a few things.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's a little bit, it's a little bit tricky question about like who I am, because I'm really involved in so many things. I currently call myself a CEO of the company that launches companies, but whose mission is to launch other companies. So, like as such, Applicature is a platform on top of which we have we've been launching the incubators, the accelerators for different types of things, and of course I'm excited because me, and of course when I'm saying me or I, there is very little effort that I have made to the success. It's all about the team play, of course. So a great team behind me, like we together have been in very, very many things in crypto. So currently, like we still launch projects, and I'm still involved in projects myself. But I prefer to coach teams. I prefer to invest in early stage startups. I've been dedicated to the crypto space since 2017, and when the hard times came in the crypto winter of 2018-19, many of the friends, they were like, "Hey, why won't you do like a e-commerce or like ERP solutions or anything else in IT that that is not blockchain?" I was like, no, we gotta like stick to blockchain. We gotta persevere through this cycle, and here we are. It was worth it.
Awesome. So I'd like to start off with asking you how you got your start. I guess originally as a founder, and 2010 was certainly what a small community it was in those days. And I guess based on all that, maybe you can share with us some lessons learned along the way that you could share with the Blockhack audience who have their projects and have visions of how they're going to grow them.
Yeah, of course. I think the space has evolved big time. For full transparency, like when I was building that like multi-digital assets exchange back in 2010, I was not much into it myself. It was more like the friends of mine have asked me to do that, and it turned to be more successful than we anticipated. So like it couldn't sustain the server capacity and stuff like that. And so that's where it started, like with many people thinking like it's a total scam, and like we're not getting what it is, to now where still many people think the same, but many people turning their heads and eyes into the space. And I myself, what I like doing now, because I'm chasing for the talented, charismatic leaders all the time. Like once I recall somebody I've worked with before, and I'm like, right, this person, like I have to talk to them, and maybe they are available right now, and I should offer them, our next crypto startup to join as a CEO or CMO or anybody in the kind of C-level position. So of course, my mission is to convert the most successful conventional entrepreneurs in the crypto space, and it's been quite fruitful so far. So I'm seeing more and more people kind of being more positive or acceptive of the idea of like blockchain and crypto overtaking the world.
Wow. Okay, and I guess over that period of time, you've seen a lot of changes in the industry. So maybe you can give us a little bit on your insights on, what major changes you've seen, or what surprised you about the growth of the industry and where we're at today.
Well, of course, every time we are all like, no, this time it's different. And like this time, the Bitcoin will go to the moon. It's going to be like $1 million per coin, and there is like plenty of reasons what people are giving why this time is different. But I do see like positive changes compared to like last bull cycle of 2016-17, which is, well, first of all, the projects are raising their like fundings or selling tokens for stablecoins. What I remember happening in the previous cycle was that most of the projects were holding their treasury in Ethereum and Bitcoin. And of course, when those tanked like 85%, you are, as a founder, you are in a really tough position. So I'm super happy. Yeah, super happy to see entrepreneurs who are much smarter with how they deal with the treasury. They got their lessons learned from before. So that's one positive change. Another change is, and actually a huge surprise, I did not foresee this coming that fast, but like the fact that some countries are like looking into Bitcoin, and El Salvador even like accepting this, recognizing it as a legal tender. I think that's a great positive change. So nobody can ignore Bitcoin as such.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I want to just talk a little bit about Applicature and just this mix of what you do. I mean, you explained a little bit the development of the development and growth services side, and then also the incubation of companies. Can you talk a little bit about this model? I guess how this model works, and it's I think quite common in the industry. But what's the unique vision that you have, and maybe you can talk about some of your successes as well. I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah, no, of course. Happy to cover all these aspects. So like, I think first of all, it's all a matter of like hard and continuous work that we've put in throughout the years, like say 5 years in the market. And of course, other really influential people in this space, they at some point have started to recognize Applicature as a brand. That's why, when somebody has a really interesting project on their plate, they will just refer to us, just because they are quite confident in our quality. But so the technology is insufficient for the success long term, because you need to have capital, you need to have relations with the proper communities, proper partnerships. You need to know the large guys who are going to provide the liquidity for your protocol if you're building one, and stuff like that. So once we started back in 2017 as a tech shop, we were like, all right, many people, they are not getting how to get to a successful token sale. So we should basically like create the token economics department and like form a marketing division and ensure that we are offering the A to Z service to the project. And of course, the most aligned model of collaboration would be like, some token interest in the project or equity interest and the cash component. And in many cases, when we see a really talented team, really great idea, very well thought out plan, but no capital, we'll help raise the capital. We'll put our own money in it. Like we are investing in deals. We've invested in like almost 40 deals in the past 18 months. So we have turned into like this full cycle incubator where we could, meet a great entrepreneur and, turn the opportunity into success, or even like just work on, on the project on our own without involving anybody from the outside.
Right. Interesting. Sort of a natural progression, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. And I have to say that like we are seeing a lot of deal flow due to Zokio, where I am a CTO, partnering with Hardage. Hardage and myself, we were reintroduced to each other by Miko Matsumura, who is the investor out of California. He was like, "Hey guys, you're both in Ukraine. You have to work together." And Hardage back then was he was done with Hosho. Hosho basically did not survive the crypto winter, and he was starting something new. So, right away we started doing the audits under the brand called Zokio, and so far Zokio has turned into one of the market leaders for the auditing of the smart contracts, and we are seeing really quality deal flow on the back of the auditing value proposition.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And you've talked a little bit about this, but can you provide some more insight about the kinds of what you look for in the kinds of companies and teams that you invest in? Like, what are the sort of top 5 things that have to be there?
Right, even less than that. I would say like the personalities is above anything, because the market conditions may change, the ideas may change, but if the founding team has the proper personalities and the good team chemistry and dynamics, that creates confidence. So that's like factor number 1. Number 2 is like how original the idea is, but also do the founders know what they are talking about? Like, does this idea kind of derive from their previous experience, maybe a non-crypto experience? For example, you might have been a trader or a hedge fund manager or somebody else from like the more conventional fin world, and you're now willing to recreate some kind of idea or approach or a useful model on crypto. I think that's an excellent angle, because that creates, again, credibility and some predictability in the success of the company. We also value the connectedness in the space. Like if a person has been there, done that, it's it means the chances for success are much higher. And so the question arises, how do you achieve that? Like if you are new to crypto, which of course I'm very interested in, like knowing what this audience is like. So maybe raise hands those who are not as proficient in crypto, and I'll assume everybody else is like super crypto savvy. But so yeah. So some people they would love to to get more up to speed. So I would give an advice that just try to reach out to the teams of the existing projects and do some work pro bono, or give them suggestions, or see if they have got grants for some jobs here and there. Go on Gitcoin, see if those companies have have any works posted on Gitcoin. But basically, like, create the relationships in the space, and then it will be easier for you to get funding, to create partnerships, because basically, like, partnerships means almost everything in crypto.
Wow. Yep. Interesting. Interesting. So that's like 4 things that I think you went through there, which is great. So entrepreneurialism is just so at the heart of this industry. I mean, you have to be entrepreneurial even to get a job in the industry, right? And so we're like this idea of a serial entrepreneur, and certainly you fit that criteria. I guess like I'd like to get into the mind of a serial entrepreneur. Someone who keeps founding and building, and most importantly builds successful, and then moves on to the next one once they've reached that success. That sort of individual. Can we get into sort of the mindset of what drives that person a little bit? And like, are these people made or born?
I believe they are not born. I think they are definitely made. And what makes people but it basically boils down to the question, like, what makes people insane? Because you have to be insane to be an entrepreneur in first place. Like, you have to hit 9 failures before you get 1 success. And you definitely, like, you need to be stubborn, you need to be perseverant, and all the stuff like that. But at the core of this, there is some kind of the flaw, maybe a emotional hit that you got in the past, like maybe in your childhood, maybe your friends had something that you couldn't have, or maybe your girlfriend has broken up on you for somebody more successful, and then you're like, no, I'm like, I'll show the world who I am, and stuff like that. So of course, it's a little bit of like the like you need to be like competitive, and you need to like challenges in order to be entrepreneurial. But I think you can achieve that. The other, like, less hurting way is like reading the books on the entrepreneurship. And I cannot think of a better book than Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's the book that has, turned my mentality upside down. And that's when I started like my entrepreneurial endeavors. But then the issue with the entrepreneurship is that a good entrepreneur is a person who cannot stop after their first success. So of course, people think they will become successful and they will retire. They will buy themselves a yacht, like a Lamborghini, a villa somewhere, and
and then they'd be bored.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then next day you are waking up to the same calendar schedule, and you're like, actually, I do like my schedule. I want to keep going what I've been doing. So it's a curse, somewhat. And I'm talking to my friends who've been in crypto for a long time, and they are exhausted because they have to keep working. Like, the crypto summer is pushing everybody to their limits, really. And everyone's response to that, tiresome, is like, all right, when the crypto winter comes, we're gonna have some rest, but before then, like, we have to work, and people work nonstop, like 24/7. There is no weekends for a true crypto man
or woman.
Of course.
Yeah, interesting. And you have to embrace risk too, right? Isn't there an element of that? Like, you have to.
Yeah, you have to be crazy, that's for sure. Like, you have to be to see no limits. You have to be somewhat fearless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll give you an example. So I've run a typical dev shop before I decided to go in blockchain, like with full speed. And so one day, like, I'm coming to the office with my like web and mobile developers, and I'm like, you know what, guys, we are starting a new epoch in our company. We are starting doing blockchain. And then, like, a few weeks later, half of the developers are gone just because they are afraid of the word itself. And only those who were not afraid of the challenge, they stayed, and they become quite successful in it.
Yeah, interesting. The ones that can, see that how some little idea that's crazy can actually have legs and develop into something. Yeah. How about some of the biggest challenges that you faced growing, different companies? What are some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how have you dealt with them?
Well, there are conventional issues and challenges that every company experiences. So I'm not sure how much I'd like to talk to that. I'd probably just touch upon the idea that it boils down to the personalities and the human factor, because in the dry net, it's the human spirit that is driving everything. Remove the spirit and the business processes will stop, even if you have fine-tuned them to the purest excellence. Even the blockchain, it's a reactive system. It will not work without the push from the outside, from the off-chain, by somebody triggering a transaction. But then, speaking to the crypto challenges, I think what's the most important is understanding the market right here, right now, and being able to decide what to do. So I don't believe that the crypto company can have something as a rigid roadmap. The crypto company has to have a scenario of what we are doing is if the Bitcoin goes to 100K tomorrow, versus what are we doing if the Bitcoin plunges 50% down, because that defines everything. When Bitcoin plunged, when it lost 50% back in May, what we did to many of our partners was we basically suggested them to hibernate with any marketing activities and just wait for the market to recover. And although we were offered insane budgets for marketing back in May, June, July, we were not touching the money because we knew it wouldn't be efficient from the very short-term perspective. What you want to do though, how you want to be prepared for the downturns and the crypto winters, is you want to have cash in your treasury, a lot of cash, and you want to be to have a team to keep building stuff, and you want to spend on the long-term marketing, because in the uptrends and the crypto summer, everything is super overpriced. It's very hard to get somebody's attention. So if you can plan your marketing activities for long term before that, you'll be in a much better position than anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really plan for the long term. So you touched on crypto summer. We're in a crypto summer, obviously. When's the winter coming? What's your prediction?
I have hopes for the crypto winter to come around February.
Okay.
I'm hoping for that from the personal perspective. Of course, in business, we want to believe that it will never come. Sure. But my ultimate goal is to ensure that all our companies meet the crypto winter with enough cash, so that they can keep building for the next 4 to 6 years and meet the next bull cycle if the cycle length is still 4 years following the Bitcoin halving.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So really be planning in advance and have a war chest of those funds that will see you through. Interesting. Yeah. So so I think you've talked about a bit of advice for new founders. So what about someone who, like at this hackathon, they have this idea for a project, and maybe they have a demo, and they're working towards an MVP. What's your advice to them? What should they be thinking about? What should they be doing if their idea is to grow?
To really start talking to VCs. Many of the VCs in this space are actually like small firms that were the crypto professionals literally yesterday, and their main value proposition is that they are hands-on, and they are willing to help us as the professionals, be it like the token economics review and advice, be it some marketing help. So I think talking to the VCs and like getting their feedback and trying to engage them is worth doing. Moreover, many of them are like so successful that they will not charge you for their advice or some work. Like that,
right.
That happened to me many times. Like I'm reaching out to the friends and be like, here is a new company we are launching. We need your help. How much would I need to pay you? And he would be like, no, Ian, like I'll do this for free. And later on, once the private sale comes, I'd love to be the first in. So that's their motivation. Everybody in the space who's successful enough are really just interested in like maturing the space and helping the new entrepreneurs. That's why I've mentioned the partnerships mean so much, because once you start being included as a part of the ecosystem, like the more successful ones will try to pull you with them.
For sure. And so when you say VC, like crypto VCs, this is actually over the last few years is a new category of VCs. So can you help those founders understand, who are these? I mean, you hear VC and in the conventional tech world, and you have to have traction, you have to have a certain run rate per month, and crypto VCs are different. Can you help explain this differentiation?
Yeah, sure. So currently in the bull markets that happens predominantly such that the VCs would be looking at how successful the company would be from two perspectives. One perspective is like definitely the fundamentals and the long-term hold, but also the like the token and liquidity and the hype aspect of it. Right. So I think that's something that tells the crypto companies apart. That said, though, more and more VCs when they want to be hands-on with the project and are really interested in the success, they would sit together to create their roadmaps or review their roadmaps, give advice, and that's actually why we started building Milestone Based back in 2018/19, because that's a platform where startups could like create their roadmaps and show them to the VCs. That would create like more trust, more transparency, and then a VC could really contribute based on like the visual picture of like what the company is going to work on in the next 24 months. We ourselves, by the way, we are considering only investing in the companies who have their roadmaps on Milestone Based, so that like we could also be value add and track their progress and assist every step of the way.
Great. And how do finders find Milestone Based?
Sorry?
How would a founder find a Milestone Based?
You would go to like sale.milestonebase.com or just milestonebase.com, and what they how it's helpful is that it nurtures the collaboration between the VC and the founder, and many VCs are going to use this tool or similar tools when the competition arrives to work with the startups and like track their performance and potentially even like tranche the capital based on the achieved milestones.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few questions just about trends and things happening in the ecosystem that you're excited about. And then we're going to open it up to questions just to let the audience know. So, so on trends then, can you give us some feedback about what you're seeing and what you're excited about in terms of different areas like NFTs, obviously DAOs, like the metaverse, Web 3.0, DeFi?
Yeah, right. I am excited about all these things for sure. There is like plenty of areas of application for NFTs, for example, and me or the companies affiliated have worked on like multiple NFT initiatives. Some of them like pretty significant. Same with the DeFi, but we have to remember that DeFi was starting back in 2017 before the crypto winter and the absence of liquidity. And back in 2017, DeFi was actually like a joke. Yeah, like we were sitting in a coffee shop discussing all the ideas of like converting one token in another token, and we thought like how much fun would it be to have it built, but who the hell will use it? Like back then it was it was just a very abstract idea.
Yeah, so, sort of like a game.
Exactly. So we keep asking ourselves the questions like what is something that seems a joke today and may be a next trend in 4 years. And I think, well, my personal take is that it's going to be like the banking industry for real, like with the institutional participants embracing the Solidity and the Ethereum virtual machine, and borrowing the ideas from many of the DeFi protocols for much larger initiatives inside of the more conventional fintech world.
Right. Okay, I wanted to just briefly touch on things like layer 0, layer 1 protocols and adoption. What are some of the what are some of the things about that founders should be aware of when they're making decisions in developing their project?
I have my personal preferences, which are that I would always stick to Solidity and the Ethereum virtual machine. I give a lot of respect to every layer 1 solution who, instead of like inventing their own language in like their own virtual environment, are just taking the Ethereum virtual machine and are like, hey, let's take what's out there, but instead like dedicate all the efforts in making it better. So I was speaking at the Phantom conference basically in the beginning of this month, and I've learned a lot of new from the people like behind the scenes. So what Phantom did, they took Ethereum virtual machine and they are improving on top of it, and I have much respect for them for that, because that's how we make the progress in the open source world.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, the advice to the founders, which is more practical, would be that because the EVM and Solidity will be used on more and more layer 1 solutions, it just definitely makes sense to like sticking to that as the primary solution. And I would then consider Polkadot as the secondary solution. You, of course, have got Solana, but Polkadot has been there for so long and they've been developing a really sophisticated system. It just seems more flexible to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. So let's just ask you about crystal balling. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what do you what do you see for the industry, and what do you see in terms of the opportunities for companies, and what will you be doing?
Well, I think so. The trend now is that, how I see it, the countries are fighting for their citizen. At least like smart countries are fighting for the citizen. I've moved to Abu Dhabi recently, and I can see that how the Emirati government, they are very strategic about attracting the smartest and the most successful people on earth to move to Dubai or Abu Dhabi. And I think this trend will only accelerate. And I think that like all the e-signature stuff will play a major role in that. So imagine a world where you can be sitting anywhere, but you could get your like generate your private public key, have it certified with a government, say a Panama government will certify your public key, so they will know that like this is yours, this is who you are. And now next step is like you are deploying your business as a smart contract on the blockchain. And this smart contract would be able to receive the revenues from anybody in the world. It might be connected to like a bank and what have you. And every time you receive your revenue, you're cutting a very small tax, like be it like 0.5%, but you're cutting it like it gets cut in the automated way, apparently, and like gets sent to the Treasury of Panama. And then when you need to pay out the employee salaries in like the security funds, it will all happen through the smart contract. So basically, like for you to set up a business in a free economic zone would be a matter of like 1-2 hours without going anywhere physically. Everything done online, super simple, and then it can't go anywhere from you. Like it's yours as long as you have the private key.
Government on the blockchain. Taxation is simplified. Yes. Registration is simplified. Yep. Regulation is applied, and compliance.
Right. And speaking of the taxation, how cool would that be if you knew where your taxes are going? Right. If you wanted to just look up how much of your taxes went to say the repairment of the road next to you, how much confidence would that create for you to pay even more taxes if you feel like?
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, you know what? I can visualize that. I just can't visualize government moving fast, though.
There is going to be huge, like insane competition between governments, and some governments like are really progressive in that.
Yeah, I guess we're seeing this. Like cities is the same thing. Like Miami recently, wanting to be the center of the industry in the U.S. Okay, well that terrific insights, Ian. I wanted to throw out to the audience the opportunity to ask any questions or anything that you'd like to get clarification on, or any insights that you have further to what Ian has been talking about. And you can write a question in the chat as well. Oh, okay.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Ian, thank you so much. It was so insightful, and appreciate you, buddy. And it is so interesting because, people like yourself are needed even more so, because if you talk to the youth, and it's so inspiring to, see the twinkle in the eyes of the youth when it comes to blockchain. And it is very important for us to incubate blockchain companies and blockchain ideas, and position this new generation to be on the ocean. So when the tide rises, everyone rises together, And I really commend you on your insights. And one of the things that, incubating incubating blockchain companies is so interesting, because if you look at another company called Constellation Software, what it did was it grew through acquisition, right? And
Yeah.
being in the public markets realm, that's the idea that iMining wants to do, is we want to sort of purchase these companies and consolidate and incubate all of them together, and all of us rise together. So we would love to, further conversations with you at your convenience. But that's, I commend you, and I'm very inspired by your insights. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah.
Thanks, Karam.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to connect you two afterwards. And just further, Karam was referring to Constellation Software, a Canadian company listed on the on our Toronto Stock Exchange, which is really just has rolled up a number, like many tech companies, and has absolutely been a star. I don't even know what the share price is, but it's sort of like, Amazon-ish in terms of how it's escalated in value. So we do have some questions. Ian, there was one question about the audit value proposition. You touched on that. The audit value proposition.
We do the security audits. So we audit the smart contracts predominantly to ensure that they don't have hacks or any vulnerabilities for the economical exploits, because those have been so frequent in the space, as you know. So that's what we do, like day and night. That's our bread and butter. And people usually come to us on the very early stage of their journey, because basically for you to work with any reputable service provider in the space, they would like to have the security audit for your code base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can look up more at zokyo.io, zokyo.io.
Right.
And then, of course, if you want to, to apply for investments, you can do the same at the same website.
Right. And you talked about Milestone Base. Someone wanted to confirm the website, milestonebase.com. I believe that's the platform for Milestone Based. And I happen to know what's going on with this company, and they are launching their new website sometime next week. So that's the actual platform, though, I believe, and where you can find it. Milestone Based.
Yeah, the description of it is at the sale.milestonebase.com. So it explains the concept and the the upcoming launch of the token.
Right. Okay. Any more questions? Please raise your hand or unmute yourself and.
So Linda and Ian, I want to thank both of you, because you've both brought up so many things that some of us are able to concur with, right from crypto summer to NFTs and what's the future, the DeFi aspect of it. I mean, I was able to relate to everything. Thank you, Ian. But I'd just like to touch upon one point. Ian, you were right about Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and other smart cities and countries that are taking place. That was a wonderful insight to bring in. And I think Canada has that aspect of it that takes things to a different level too. But I do know people right here who are watching who have also had a past in Dubai, like me, Karam, Mamta, and others. So maybe Ian, I'll just see you in Abu Dhabi. So thank you, thank you.
I would love that.
Yeah,
please don't hesitate to reach out, and
No, I will. Thank you so much. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Those were wonderful questions for a person, people who've been in the space and get it. And Ian, even the halvening to halvening prediction and all. I mean, it shows the experience and it's wonderful. So thank you all of you.
Thanks for inviting and having me. It's been a pleasure, really.
Yeah, so last chance for question. And if there aren't any more questions.
Hi, Ian and Linda.
Yeah.
Hey, Mamta.
Thank you so much for your information. It was really very knowledgeable. But my question is, you just mentioned that the government certifies your public key, and then your business does not go anywhere because through smart contracts, right? So my question is, what is in it for the government? So do they tax you, or is it a partnership, or how does it work?
Yeah, but I think the value proposition for the government is that they can attract the businesses from all over the world, and in particular the businesses who are forming the future of the economy. So I believe that similarly to how top 10 companies were created like in the last 10 or 20 years, the next top 10 companies are going to be created in the next maybe 2-3 years. And why not accepting the fact that, or the chances that some of them would be like the blockchain companies, and a government could just get a small fraction of tax from like many companies who might be like actually sitting anywhere in the world but registered in their jurisdiction of this government. So if I were a prime minister of a small Caribbean country, or any other country that is like very agile in their thinking, in their legislation, and I would be trying to like define my place in the world, which would definitely not be the resources because I'm a small country. So what is left? Some innovative idea, such as like a blockchain friendly thing that is also like not only blockchain friendly from the legislative perspective, but from the user experience perspective. Like you're just deploying your smart contract on the Ethereum network, and that means you've registered your business in this jurisdiction. I would go for that if I was a user.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more questions? All right. So if not, I would like to thank Ian very much for speaking today, and thank all of you for coming to listen and participating in Blockhack.